Today's guest is Phil Langdon. He's from London, England. We've gotten together for approximately, I guess, at least a couple of years. Not always live, but in recent times we've been doing videos for at least a year, I think. The time flies. We're going to discuss the book called Kabbalah or Kabbalah, whichever way you want to think about it. Whichever way you want to pronounce it. And so I'll just ask Phil to introduce himself and tell us something about himself.
Oh, I'm Phil Langdon from London. Um, uh, I've had spiritual ascension nearly 11 years ago now, and that's what I talk about and write about. I've been writing about it ever since. I'm 55 now, so it's in my middle age that this has occurred. Before that, I've had lots of different things I've been doing. I'm a musician, a mathematician, effectively, philosophy. These are my subjects, and this is what we discuss.
Yeah, you explained earlier in one of our videos that when you went to school, it was you started at college at 23 years old. Is that correct?
22. I had a sort of 5, 6 year gap where I was working for a living.
Right, right.
Yeah.
You were kind of a late bloomer, or I don't know if it's called that, but
No,
anyway.
no, I just went straight into doing graphics for sign companies, and I
Okay,
did that for 6 years, and then decided to go back to university because the industry sort of died because of personal computers.
okay. Well, your volume dropped when you went. I don't know what happened.
Oh, hello. I haven't changed anything.
I know you haven't. I don't know if when you came out, it blurted out kind of loudly, and it's almost someone put a buffer on it. I don't know, but anyway, I can
Okay.
still hear you. I just
Okay.
want to make
Good.
sure, last recording did well. So,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
so you were
Okay.
talking
If
about
I go,
yeah,
yeah,
you're
if I
talking
go
about graph.
close to the mic, I go into the orange I can see and almost red. So
Okay,
I'll
so
talk into
that's
the mic.
fine. Don't worry about it. The people can hear you. I can hear you. So go on. You're talking about you were working in a graphic shop, and you decided to go to college. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did maths and physics at college and university. Then on, and then I travelled the world for a few years, and that was my 30s. It was university was my 20s, and college, and 30s was travelling and working abroad. 40s was kind of settling down. And in that settling down, I had a random Satori experience at Angkor Wat in Cambodia that was very unexpected, and that's why I know these things. It taught me all about metaphysics because you meet God in this circumstance, and you have what's called spiritual ascension because that's what God is about. So if you meet and have spiritual union with God, you're going to ascend. There's no question. And from then on, you know all about metaphysics from an experiential point of view. And that becomes this subject known as Kabbalah, because you were going to ask that, where does it come from? And is it a key subject? And it is, because somebody like me, if you look at my recordings, it's mostly based around the Tree of Life, which is a natural philosophy. It's a result of philosophy. And it's logical, a logical kind of philosophy. It's not just philosophizing and asking loads of questions never to answer. It's about pinpointing aspects of reality that we learn about through this metaphysical experience known as spiritual ascension. You see, so Kabbalah is the main subject that's recorded. There's lots to say about it, obviously. Some people say it originated from 13th and 14th century Spain, but obviously it goes back way, way back because old Hebrew documents like the 5 books of Moses, otherwise known as the Torah. Um, that is basically what's called Kabbalah. It's a recording of angels or an angel who's recording the nature of metaphysics through an apparent historical document. But really, it's metaphysics, and an encyclopedia. What they give you is an encyclopedia of metaphors concerning metaphysics, because metaphysics is the root of our existence and reality, and therefore the multitude and variety we find and see in our reality has all come from this single source, and therefore we can use the same number of metaphors to refer to the source. And that's what you find in these Kabbalistic stories. So the book you've got on Kabbalah by Thames and Hudson is like a dictionary on the contents of Kabbalah, whereas the first 5 books of Moses is what seems like an historical story.
Right.
You see, so there are these differences. It depends how you want to record it.
Yeah, most people in the church and even outside the church believe it's simply all a literal story, but it's not.
No.
It's for initiatives, those that want to find out more deeply behind what's being said in the first 5 books.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an education on the nature of metaphysics, which is what's missing in a person's life before they experience spiritual ascension. But if you never hear about it, or kind of acclimatize your mind to it, you won't get to it because it's too much of a shock. So
Yes.
you need to be acclimatized to the concept of it in the first place, and then it becomes natural.
Yeah,
See,
like
so that's pretty much what the education is about.
yeah, you got to quote unquote wet your feet, so to speak, in it. It's just not going to it's not going to jump at you. You're going to have to get acclimatized, like you said. But it's similar to you need to get your feet wet. You need to
Yeah,
get,
there are metaphors. For instance, standing on top of a mountain is a good metaphor because the mountain top is very, very small, whereas the surrounding view is incredibly vast.
right,
So just in that metaphor, you get the sense that 0 and infinity are part and parcel of the same issue.
right,
See, it's this yin-yang concept of observer and observed. The observed is always vast and surrounding the observer, who is a point source, or a point of awareness, as it were. There's always that relationship, and just contemplating that acclimatizes you to the reality that we are in.
Yeah, it's in some ways, we are, like me and probably anyone that goes to church has been acclimatized to the literal framework of the Bible, and that's not true. It's you can take it for truth, but it's not the truth. It's not the true truth. You see. And what I mean by truth to them is that that's something they seem to think that latch on, but then you have to realize what they're talking about. Like there's no epitome of working out your salvation. Everything's done for you, and it's like, okay, wait a minute, that doesn't jive. And what I mean by it doesn't jive, life itself is about, if you want to be a lawyer, you go first 4 years of school in an undergraduate work, and then you go into what we call graduate work to become a lawyer. So it takes work in order to become a lawyer or a doctor, so to speak. Well, the same way with Scripture, it's going to take work for you to understand what's going on, and it's not something done for you. That is, when I mean done for you, that some guy died on the cross for you, and everything's been taken care of. I mean, that goes against everything that's natural in our world, so to speak. And people say, well, you're working out your salvation. Yes, it is working out your salvation, because that's what you. But that's in a Christian church, that is a no-no. You see, because you're working as though you're trying to quote unquote find God. We already found God, and I'm like, no, you haven't found God. You found something else that basically you latched on, that you believed it is about God. You see.
Well, they're promoting texts that were written by people who actually found God, but they're misreading them too literally and at face value, which means that this idea of the promise of salvation is lost on them, because they think that by becoming a member of the religious congregation is enough to satisfy salvation, when in fact salvation is something you work at, because you need to develop your understanding of your own singular nature, which is the spiritual aspect of yourself.
Well, yes, because you work out your salvation with fear and trembling. I mean,
Your
I mean,
respect.
that is in Scripture. That's kind of it's like, okay, um, it, salvation in today's world is too easy. Okay, and what I mean by that, oh, I found Jesus. No, you found something else that's not actually a part. It's a dream. It's
An
something
idea.
that yeah, idea, and it's not deeply involved in what I would call um, solid ground, so to speak. Um, per se. There's a song. We were taught all these songs when we were kids and went to church. And our faith is based upon solid ground or higher ground. No, it's just a lot of it's just simply a feeling as though you're accepted within your own church, so to speak. And I don't mean to get on too much more, but what I'm trying to say simply is how people are seduced or to not seduced. In some ways, they are seduced, but they've been fooled. They've been fooled. And when I go back to the saying, "Work out your salvation with fear and trembling," yeah, because in reality, simply is fear is reverence.
Yeah.
You want to find the truth. You see,
Yeah.
and,
Taking it seriously, basically.
right,
Yeah.
right, right. Not being fearful, like okay,
Mm,
God's going to
mm.
strike me, such and such
No, no,
down.
no, no.
Like,
There's none
no,
of
no,
that.
no, no.
Yeah.
It's
No,
and
it's the wrong mind.
it's also respect, and knowing that simply is this is God's word,
Mm,
but we've been taught in error, and that's why you're here, is to correct that epitome of basically the error that we've been taught by just about everybody. And then there are
mm,
those. Let's go back. Well, let me go one more thing and say, there are those what we call, okay, you have these three different types of perspectives. So you have atheist that doesn't believe in God. Period. I don't want anything to do with God is not existent, such and such. So you have that little button over there, and people will think, well, I'm an atheist. I don't believe there's such a thing as a God, because simply well, all the things that are going on this planet are evil. And it's like, well, yeah, there's evil on this planet, but there are also good things going on this planet. So in other words, your mind is set upon a certain thing. Then you have the other idea of the extreme over here, that they believe having faith in Jesus, and that He will save you in a literal terms, and that's part of the church. And then you have those in the middle, what I call agnostic. That basically I choose not to believe either one.
mm,
In other words, I don't believe in this God. You talk about a literal God, and I believe there is a God somehow, some way. But then I don't believe as those who are atheists that there is no God, because I can see that there is some type of rhyme and rhythm in nature that somehow keeps this planet somewhat in jive, not in jive, but in a way that has a right rhythm, so to speak. You see.
mm, mm. Yeah,
You see.
there's a great weight in discussing the distinction between objectivity and subjectivity when it comes to that, because that seems to be part of the issue when it comes to atheists and religious people. Atheists are denying that this God that religious people talk about is an objective dealer of punishment and whatever in the universe. As if he's dealing out things all the time to people. And you can argue that might be the case, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. If the universe is automatic, it runs along by itself and it has its own rules, which are physically based. That's all.
Right.
Right, and they think that God can just sort of make, I don't know, a snowstorm occur over Fatima in the middle of summer. As if he can just change
Right.
nature momentarily and do these strange things. But these things happen naturally. But there's part of the main argument about God, or whether God exists, because there's no objective thing you can point to and say, look, there is God over there.
You still there?
It's not the same issue, as it were. It's
No,
as
it's
if
not.
people are
No, it's
looking at
not.
the wrong issue, they're
So
associating it with the wrong issue. Can you hear me
yes,
all right?
they are.
No.
Yeah, you kind of dropped a little bit there. I don't know what's
Oh,
going on. So I've got
I'm
to.
trying to I'm trying to talk into the mic, so it's
No,
loud
no, no.
enough.
Yeah, but I mean, it's, what I'm talking about simply is the connection went on and off like here just a second ago. I
Oh,
don't
I
know what
see.
happened.
Okay.
That's
The
the
inter.
reason.
Okay.
Okay, no problem. We can hear you.
Okay.
I was going to say something else in my track of thought. So, someone who lives in the Bible Belt, which is right here in the South, that is to do with the belief system that is ingrained here. When you mention something like, Kabbalah or Kabbalah, either one, it's the
Mm,
same. It's just different pronunciation.
mm,
They think that you've gone off your rocker, and they
right.
think you are of the devil.
Right.
That has been so programmed with these people. So
That can I just say about that?
sure,
It's because it is angel knowledge. So if you give people something that's beyond what they would have figured out themselves, it's like they're delving into parts of reality. They have access to parts of reality that the regular person might not bother with, and they might use this in their favor. You see, the idea is that this brings us into magic, and whether you can create things to come about by utilizing aspects of reality in your favor. And you can only do that with knowledge. Knowledge is power, this sort of thing. And power corrupts. Absolute
right,
power corrupts
right,
absolutely. So
absolutely,
all these things go hand in hand. And the expectation, because we're dealing with human beings who are easily corruptible, is that if you give them highfalutin information, they will use it in a corrupted manner.
right.
Do you see what I'm saying? There's
Yeah.
all these natural associations when you give people too much information, and
Yes,
that's
because
applicable to Kabbalah
yes,
because it's part and parcel of the magic thing, Kabbalah, because it delineates reality, and people can use and abuse that in their favor, which they do. You see, so there's this association with Kabbalah that it's the devil. It can now be used by the devil to manipulate the world
right,
because it's angel knowledge.
right.
You see what I mean? So
Yes,
it
like
it, no, it knows what's behind the world without having it revealed directly to you. You know, it tells you what's behind the world without you having had your ascension.
right.
Yeah.
So why should we study Kabbalah? Why? Maybe I've asked this question before. You know,
It's to know for yourself. We're dealing with gnosis here, like you mentioned earlier. The Catholic Church would suggest that you don't need gnosis because Jesus has done it for you, and He
right,
represents that already, and He's died for you, and that's all you need to do is promise yourself to Him because He's already done the work for you. But that's a sort of misguided reference to the fact that He's also the creator of the universe, who has created automatically and objectively all these things, including your body, without you having to do any of it. And all you have to do is step into a body, live a life in order to understand yourself through the life, as it's the opposite to your own nature, which is infinite. You're the infinite. Around you is everything is finite.
right,
So this is an ideal maximum contrast you need to naturally learn about your own self.
right,
See,
right. Yeah,
that
it's
that's the
interesting the way
system
you
that's
put the
set up.
picture. Pardon me.
Sorry, that's the system that's been set up called creation or reality, physical reality, the
Right.
objective world.
I thought it was
Yeah.
interesting. You gave the picture simply is that God has given you the opportunity to have a vessel in order to find out the truth.
Yeah,
It's
to
just to make
fulfill your own nature. Yeah, so you can become full.
right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah, and
right.
rich, as it were, spiritually rich.
So I don't know. I asked the question why Kabbalah, and I was going to say something else and got off tangent a little bit, but it's a good explanation what you're explaining. Um, and what I wanted to go into with the Kabbalah was to deal with what you call the tree
Yeah,
Kabbalah,
yeah,
um, and the what I would call the You know, one question I do have was to do, and I looked it up in the scriptures, is that, you know, the keter is the crown, and I went and did a search on crown or crowns in the Bible, and it's everywhere. There's a lot of verses that refer to crown.
Mm.
I didn't go any further than that, but I noticed it simply is that the Bible is talking about a crown. Um, and I
Hmm.
wonder if that's talking, I'm curious, is that talking about the keter itself in a way?
Yeah, if you apply the tree to the human body, the top sephirot or point is the top of your head, effectively referring to where your crown is. But of course, the crown is Jesus Christ, your anointing inside your head, and that would be the crown, the achievement of the completion of the tree of life and its function.
Right, because there's nothing outside of yourself, it's already within yourself.
Yeah,
Am I
you
correct?
represent everything all at once. Yeah, that's right. Nothing is missing from you. That's right.
Right. You don't have to be going here and there or go whatever. What I'm saying is that it's like almost as though you're looking for gold or some precious metal, and you got to
Mm.
go somewhere. It's already within you to
That's
find.
right. The only reason you'd go out anywhere is to learn something useful.
Right,
That's all. That's all, really. In these terms,
right,
you know.
right.
Yeah.
So I got back off on a tangent. I mean, not a tangent, but at the explanation here, and I. I've been reading the book Psychology and Kabbalah, which is very well done to me in a lot of ways. So you have a better way of pronouncing these certain words. So, like for one example, you have the pillar of severity and then the pillar of mercy.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah,
it's
the two extremes. They're expressed as the crook and the flail of the old pharaohs.
correct. I
Uh,
didn't think about that. Yeah,
Yeah, and they're crossed over the heart. They cross it over the heart.
right.
See,
And
because
when we
that's
last
where.
met, go ahead. Oh, yeah, I'm
No,
sorry.
no, it's just the heart is where is who you are, as it were.
Yeah, and you said it was like in our last video, I think you referred to it as, correct me, uh, it's part of you, it's part of your feel, not feelings, but it's heart of but your head is more what I call primary and secondary. I'm trying to remember how you phrased it in the video we did a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Um, um, and anyway, I was going to say you have the word what we call understanding, which is
Bina,
banal.
bina,
Okay,
bina,
binal. Okay, thank
bina.
you.
Yeah,
So this is on the pillar of severity, and
right.
then
That's
on the
truth.
other side is the pillar of mercy.
Yeah.
So, which is called Halkomon,
Hokmah,
Halkman. Okay,
hokmah.
which it says here that uh, Halkman is wisdom,
Yeah, yeah. Wisdom and understanding. Yeah,
and
yeah.
that creates what it looks like what we call the intellect. Is that what it's saying here in this
The,
particular work? I should show this
with,
to the public. Sorry.
yeah, the severity is the intellect, as it were, refers to your mind.
Right.
The mercy refers to your heart and compassion.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
so they're on either side because they need to be balanced and used in a balanced way. So knowing the truth doesn't mean you're going to go around killing everybody because they don't know it. You see, there's the compassion to allow others the chance to find out for themselves in their own time.
Right.
You know, there's I'm just saying that because a lot of people feel they need to control the world and they want to have their say politically, but you can't control the world. You see, you can only control yourself, which is why Kabbalah is focused on self-work, not working in the world.
Right. It's all about you individually saving yourself. It's not about
That's right.
saving anybody else in the world.
That's right.
It's
That's
your
right.
it's your salvation. You need to
Yeah.
take it personally instead of actually thinking, "Oh, we're going to go out in the world and save other
Yeah.
people, so like missionaries or so to speak."
Yeah.
No, that doesn't work that way.
Yeah, your body is your toolbox, as it were.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So your mind can be very severe by itself, but your heart is very
Yes.
compassionate and loving and kind. You see, these two things have to be balanced out. That's what's going on. The balancing out of all things.
Yes. Because one can be so extreme that you would hammer someone with jargon, supposedly even in Kabbalah, and the person's like they're not ready for that. In other words,
Yeah, even with truth, if you try
well,
and
I'm saying
hammer
about
even
truth.
the truth onto somebody who doesn't want to hear it, it's
Right.
inappropriate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If there's no compassion with that, so what? What's the verse that says you can have everything in the world, but if you don't, I don't know if that's a good one. Anyway,
Hmm.
and then with this is what I understand, and I'm looking at certain little arrows here that it shows here in this particular book, and the understanding goes into what I would call the realm looks like Da or knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
and it continues on. There's another arrow. The understanding goes to the next one called mercy, lower down on the right hand side, so to speak, which is how you pronounce it, Hesed?
Hesed, yeah.
Okay.
Hesed.
And you elaborate as long as you want to. I don't want. I'm not trying to control the whole thing here. I'm not.
Sure, that's okay. I mean, what you're
I
looking
don't
at
want to go
there
too
is,
fast here too. That's what I was trying to make sure of.
yeah. All you're looking at there is the delineation and appropriation of the 10 points that originally come from a philosophy, which is the same as the yin yang philosophy. It's shown over a period of time to show you how a seed becomes a growth which recreates the original seed, and that's the process of the tree of life. It shows you the process that is spiritually important. So
Yes.
this process has to do, if you apply it to the spiritual nature that we all have, it has to do with recreating the original seed of our reality. And that would be a cycle. So there's the principle of the tree. Now we can apply the tree because it's now an archetype for all that goes on to the human body. And when we do that, we can delineate that when we find our own perfection, we have wisdom, we have understanding, we have mercy, we have severity, which is simply knowledge of the truth. So it's simply showing you what you acquire at this point when you're reading out these things. The crown, understanding, wisdom, mercy, severity. You see, they're just aspects of what you acquire in your own personal development.
Yes. But let me say something with this particular tree that we're looking at. The bottom part here, where we call the kingdom, is it the seed, or is the key? Is it, or does it work both ways?
It works both ways. You can turn it upside down as well, you see. There's
Okay,
a
that's what I was.
tradition.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
there's already a tradition that suggests that the human being is literally living upside down. Why? Because they're physically oriented without remembering that the spiritual nature, which is the upright nature, is the correct one or the truthful one.
Okay, okay.
So you at the bottom of the tree, if we count down the tree, we go 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you can use that sequence to go from the start to the end. So the first primary seed is the single point at the top, and the group of 4 points at the lowest part of the tree fit together as a tetrahedron, and one of them is the new seed. So from top to bottom, you can see the entire process, the entire cycle.
Oh, so it is a tetrahedron.
If you take it as a separate number 4, yeah. If you split the tree up into 1, 2, 3, and 4, you end up with a tetrahedron at the bottom, and that's the completed geometric metaphor concerning metaphysics.
Okay.
Metaphysics having 3 aspects of zero nature, zero-dimensional nature, that is, technically. That's 1, 0, and infinity, 3 aspects of spirit, and then you have the cloud, which is the Son of God, who is half physical and half spiritual, because he's the merger of the two worlds. of what's spiritual, what's physical. He's the point of their union.
I'm just going by what it's showing here, looking at it. There's an arrow going back from mercy back to what we call judgment. And like this is Judgment, Jerah.
Tava, is it?
Geburah, Jerah.
Oh, Tevera.
Well, this one shows. Okay, I'm sorry. No, I'm talking about the one straight across.
Mm-hmm.
The Tefera would be the ones below it on this thing here. That's what I'm.
Yeah, it's not on camera at the moment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm showing in the
There
wrong
you go,
place.
there you
Sorry. Sorry about
that's
that.
it. That's all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm pointing is going back straight across here, with Jabra is what I think it's how it's pronounced, Jabra.
Yeah, they're just filling out the idea. If the archetype has 10 points of interest, then that is going to manifest in the greatest manifestation of that philosophy, which is the human being. So it's naturally applicable to a human being. And we can delineate these things like this.
Okay.
It's a sort of mapping, the idea of mapping one thing onto another. Very mathematical.
I'm somewhat confused when I think it's something to do with there's 22 ways.
There's 22 different connecting paths between those 10 points, traditionally, yeah. And they, of course, because it's the archetype and there are 22 paths, they're going to use the idea of 22, just because it commemorates the nature of, philosophy, natural philosophy.
So what is, you may have told me earlier before, I think I've forgotten. So what does 22 represent in a way?
Literally the paths between those 10 points. That's the origin of 22. Yeah.
Okay.
That's where it comes from.
Okay.
Which is natural philosophy.
And there is another, some other piece in here also talking about 22 in a different way, not based upon the tree, but a different way of looking at it, so to speak. I don't see it right now, but
it crops up across the mysteries. Another mystery subject would be numerology.
Right.
See, and numerology 11, 22, and 33 are key numbers.
Right.
See, because they're repetitions. That's all. It's just an aspect of numerology. I mean, some people think that's being superstitious, but other people would argue that it's the mathematics of reality.
Okay.
Because the tree of life has 10 points, we should have 10 numbers, and we do. We count in base 10, so it relates to the origin of the philosophy of our reality. So it's going to correspond across the board. You see, that's why we use 10 numbers.
Right, from 0 to 9.
9. That's right. That's right.
So some would say the number 7 is the perfect number. Is that Jan?
It's because once you go beyond 3 and 4, the first number you come to that comes back to a sense of unity is the number 7. So because it refers to unity, it's involved with singular nature as an expression of it, or an automatic function of it, as it were.
Okay.
Likewise, the number 12 is an automatic function and expression of it, because it's built out of 3 and 4.
Okay.
See?
But this circle here, doesn't it have 22 also in it? Is that correct? Or am I wrong?
I think we counted those last time. I think it was 14.
14.
If I remember rightly, which is the female number, because a female has 14 parts to her
And the
makeup.
male has 15 parts.
The male has 15 with phallus. That's right. It's a very old designation for a female, but when they do that, the connotation and association directly is with Sophia, or becoming an angel. See, because you become the phallus, therefore you lose your physical phallus in symbolic terms,
Right.
and you become your own phallus that ejaculates you as a spirit into your metaphysical fullness. with
Right.
ascension.
Right.
So, and you're associated as becoming female in physical terms. In effect, you're becoming male, which is spiritual, but it's just a designation that comes from the issue of how spirit impregnates matter fundamentally. So the association is that spirit is male, whereas material is female.
Right. That's where they get the idea that from other religions that female are inferior, and that's not correct.
Oh, that directly comes out of the misinterpretation of Adam and Eve, thinking that they are people running around on planet Earth, when in fact Eden is the abyss and Adam is the creative principle or the cloud at zero, which is metaphysical, and Eve is the angel at his right hand who has just ascended, which applies to any of us. Of course, from that moment, the light of the ascended angel floods the abyss and sparks creation, which is why it's spoken of in these books. And we find out about this as angels, which is why we write about it and talk about it. But Adam and Eve are personifications of the original function of creation, the original seed. They're not real
Right.
people, so the interpretation is wrong in the first place and needs to be
Right.
reevaluated. So
Right.
this original sin is the same principle as Sophia's mistake, because she generates a demiurge who then creates a horrible universe, which is the same principle as the original sin. So you could apply
Right.
that to any angel automatically generates this condition that generates creation. So you can blame every angel if you want to, and call them evil when they're not. It's just because it's automatic. It's the idea of indifference and automatic nature that is almost devilish, because you can't stop it like a machine. You have to
Yeah.
switch it off at the source, otherwise it just goes around and kills everybody. Like a
Right.
yeah combine harvester. If you stand in the way of a combine harvester, you're going to get seriously hurt
Correct.
because it functions automatically. So
Right.
people consider that to be an evil. There's no mind behind it, controlling it, as it were. It's an automatic thing, like the universe. Yeah.
Right. Right. Right.
So she gets the blame because she's the risen angel who sparks creation. That's where
Correct.
the original idea of a sin comes from.
Okay, so I was just thinking there was the whole idea simply is that in a certain faith here in the Middle East, that basically the woman is seen as sinful more than a man is in that particular religion.
Yeah, even
Um,
Nietzsche called
uh,
women evil
yeah, I know he did. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
because they're seductresses and they're all about temptation of the flesh. Not all of them,
Yeah, yeah.
obviously.
And when you think about that with that philosopher, it's kind of a baby way of looking at it, isn't it? It's blaming someone else for your own that she's seductive, but reality simply is you're not able to control your own mind, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, in fact.
Yeah, because you want to blame someone for your own thoughts, and it's like no, you can't do that. Your thoughts is from you.
That's right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I totally
You
agree.
choose to do that. You choose to blame a female for this and claim that, and
Yeah.
that's your what we call maybe a dirty mind, so to speak. So you cannot, you can't do that. That's trying. That's like putting something on someone and saying you're this type of person. Almost to the opposite of what we say. A crown would be taking something else and making them be. Well, you're adulterous. You're sinful, such and such, and this is your crown. You need to wear something else to not make yourself so seductive. It's like no, you got the problem, not her. So you see, you're making that a mountain when it's only a molehill, so to speak.
Yeah,
If I understand it correctly. But anyway,
yeah, I agree.
kind of got off my tangent here, but it is interesting how people will blame Dostoevsky would blame that upon a woman, and other writers do that too. In some ways, seductively, in a way. It's kind of a clever way of blaming someone else for your faults. We can
Yeah.
blame we can blame our parents for our faults too. You see,
Mm, mm,
you see.
yeah.
Well, they didn't. They taught me all this stuff about religion and Christianity stuff. That's their fault.
Yeah.
No, no. There's a reason why I was born in that type of family to, in some ways, to help me see through that. You see,
Mm.
um, but
That,
that's how people would instead of taking the responsibility and saying, yeah, it's my fault, or whatever. Take that. And I know I'm kind of digressing, but the point simply is that it no, you got a problem with it, not that person. You
mm.
know. But
Yeah, likewise, these delineations on the tree of life you've been reading out, the Bina, the understanding, the wisdom, the crown, etc. These tell you what to look out for as well. Because if you were sitting in a field by yourself and asking the question, how do I figure out the meaning of life? What have you got to go on? So these mystery schools had these things written down so they could help you focus on the right ideas in the first place. If you get my
right,
drift. It says crown, wisdom, and understanding. Well, that tells you straight away that you need to seek understanding to gain wisdom and the crown. Do you see what I mean?
right.
So it kind of tells you what to expect and what direction to go in, as it were. And what
Yes,
is this on?
it's like a jigsaw puzzle some way, and it's
Mm,
gradually showing you what direction you should be moving into.
right. And the rest of the mysteries were the content of what allows you to approach this understanding. So the mysteries tell you about objective reality at a deep level, taught by angels who figured it out. And
Right.
by doing so, you see, you are acclimatizing your mind to reality that you need in order to unify dual opposites to complete your own crown. You can't do that without understanding things for yourself, because you're the one who's doing it. So you must understand for yourself. Therefore, you learn for yourself. And you're learning logic, the logic of the objective world.
Yeah.
Not only,
Yeah. Yeah. I see what I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
yeah,
interrupt you.
no, just to complete that, it's like that because the world has come from your own metaphysical root. So by learning about it, you are effectively, ultimately learning about yourself.
Yeah. You're seeing the two opposite perspectives here, and what you need to do is, if I'm correct, you merge and you become in the middle. You don't.
Right.
You see, and that
You,
allows you
you,
to
you,
grow.
yeah, you study both of them independently, individually. You study spiritual nature, which is metaphysics, and you study physical nature, which involves physics and your own psychology. So here is the focus of study, if anyone wants to know. By knowing these things, you kind of climb your own mountain of knowledge over yourself and the
Yes.
world around you, so you become more and more aware of reality. Of course, God takes the position of the highest awareness of all reality. So there's the
Right.
extrapolation, there's your direction.
Right. And what I see just simply is like a conversion of, there's all these lines that lead to um, basically to what I call the area of beauty. You have lines coming in from a diagonal type of, at a diagonal deal from such and such. You have a line that's coming directly straight from which if I understand this correctly, um, you take a piece of all these things to eventually create these certain things within you.
Um, you could
Maybe
say
too
that, I
simplified.
suppose. I mean, it's showing you what to do. It's kind of saying, here are the issues that are important, so you pursue those issues.
Right.
You'll see if there are lines coming off that going elsewhere, you may notice that the tree of life is not only applicable to your entire body, but also applicable to all four of your body centers, which is your head, your heart, your navel, and your groin, which is what you've got
Yes.
on the next page, because
Right.
there's four trees there all joined together. Yeah, so we can delineate the earth, the water, the fire, and the air in those
Right.
four, which
Right.
apply to the four parts of your body, the four centers of your body. The groin is earth, your head is air, the element air, and now we
Right.
get becoming elemental, and it's four-way. So that really represents the human body with the tree of life applied to all 4 body centers.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, because it's an archetype, you know, so we can apply it in these logical ways.
I'm trying to see what I wrote down here. So, if I understand this whole issue of Kabbalah, you know, that you refer to it, we talked a little bit about it last time we was talking, to do with, there were those that said it went back to the Spaniards, to the Moors, I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, 14th century Spain.
Right, 14th century, but in reality it goes back further than that, far more.
Yeah, yeah.
How far would you think it goes back? Does it go all the way back to the Jewish kingdom in some ways? Not a kingdom, but Jewish way of thinking long ago.
To be honest,
did it go all the way back to the Egyptians or even
way further.
Babylonian?
Yeah,
Sorry.
Babylonians. The first sign of it is with Babylonians. They were recording these kinds of things back then. Yeah, it was part of their Anunnaki knowledge, as it were, is basically Kabbalah. Yeah.
And what do you mean by Anunnaki? Because that's a word that's thrown out these days that causes a lot of confusion.
Yeah, it comes from the creation myth, in the sense that the creation myth itself delineates the aspects of creation according to the tree of life. So it starts off with zero, the metaphysics of zero at the top of the tree, and then it talks about how creation occurs with the appearance of an angel in that zero condition with light, and then it talks about the universe at the 3rd level down the tree. And now at the 4th level, it's talking about whatever is created is referred to as Anunnaki, because we have 4 body centers that correspond to the 4 elements. And the Anunnaki are the, if you like, the elemental way of looking at beings in the universe. However, the Anunnaki include the 5th element and the concept of the unification of all the elements. So it's not just the 4 elements, so you can say all human beings are Anunnaki, because everyone has these 4 body centers relating to the 4 elements. However, the Anunnaki refer to the 5th element, which is the unification of all the 4. So an Anunnaki effectively is an old way of referring to an angel walking around. Somebody who's ascended, an ascended master is an Anunnaki. That's the principle of it. And they're shown at the 4th and lowest level of the tree of life, because you become like that through physical incarnation. Okay.
Yeah,
so
that's many writers have gone off on tangents on this, which is ridiculous. What's going on? But we won't go into that. I mean, we dealt with that somewhat in the past. Writers who not only deceive themselves but deceive others, which is really sad.
yeah,
Thinking they actually are smarter in all this information. In reality, they don't know what they don't know what they're handling with. They don't understand the grasp of what's. It's not a literalization again. It's symbolic.
yeah, yeah.
And that's why the literal framework causes confusion throughout the world, because simply as
That's
people
right.
think it's a literal alien or whatever. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not saying they're not aliens, but I'm saying simply is you're grasping on this type of thing and you're just holding on to it. It's like, maybe you should look at some things a little bit more deeper than what you want it to say. You're actually trying to force a circle or a square to fit in a triangle.
Unfortunately, in the US, you have the concentration and the effort to put out misinformation all over the place. So some people are basically agents of misinformation, and some people just latch on to the mainstream ideas that are partly misinformation anyway to make their own money. So you've got a whole load of people in this scenario in the UFO field talking about Anunnaki incorrectly, but it's become a staple and a modern norm. Through misinformation.
Right. Right.
I saw one guy interviewed 2 days ago in a video, and everything that came out of him was misinformation. Everything. So he's an agent of misinformation. He's just filling out the field for people who are now going to regurgitate what he says. Yeah, it's a funny old game, this world. There's so much misinformation on subjects that people aren't familiar with, like the Babylonian religion is
Right.
always touted as pure evil,
Right.
the source of the beast, and all this kind of mismatched nonsense put together, misunderstood. But it's the mainstream, so it just carries on, and there's very few people to
But
argue against
it's
it and
easy
clear it
to
up.
latch onto that. It's
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
if it's been explained, so now it's like, okay,
yeah.
I understand. And it's like, no, you don't understand. You're
Right.
grasping again for something, and you don't know what you're looking for. And this guy's coming around, or woman is telling you something else, and you say, oh, that sounds good. I think I'll follow that, or whatever. That kind of makes some sense, but
Yeah,
it
yeah,
doesn't.
yeah.
You see.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, the question I'm going to ask now simply is that, and I think it's part of what we just talked about. Why so few ever do not grasp what you have done in your life? Why so few uh, do not pursue it or do not understand it, and they dismiss it in a way? They they because it's hard for people to accept that, isn't it? You
Yeah.
know.
There's no living example that stands out. I mean, I may be a living example of it, but I don't stand out. I'm not famous. I'm not well known. So a lot of people aren't going to find out about it.
Right. Right.
That's the only problem with being an unknown. Your message doesn't get across and it doesn't get out. And people expect the mainstream, the real authority in the world to be the source of that information. They do, and they won't ever listen to you, even though you got it right.
They
So
will.
yeah, and
You're not famous, Phil. You don't. You're not on
yeah.
television. Or
So so
whatever.
so, pe- so people have no example to look up to and to say, this is how he did it. Let me try this. So the principle is to find out things for yourself and to investigate and become a detective, a bit like Sherlock Holmes when it comes to logic. Ask yourself simple questions that are profound. Where does the universe come from? Who are you? What are you? Where do you come from? What is the nature of this reality? These are the questions you ask and you venture to answer for yourself. You must figure it out for yourself. All the answers are there, but you're going to go through a field of misinformation. So simply hold all information at arm's length until it makes absolute certain sense. And then you can hold on to that, and you keep holding on to things that you guarantee. And pretty soon you're going to have your own little mountain of information and knowledge that you can guarantee. See, it's to guarantee that you're doing the right thing and understanding in the right way. And it is your understanding that counts, because the gate is in your head. And the only thing that's going to open it is pure understanding. And the only person who can give you that pure understanding is God, who is your true self. So you must meet God first, who is the answer. Now you have the answer. Now you're going to use your logic training to figure out how to understand how spirit and energy work together. What is their fundamental principle together? What is their issue? And when you figure out this issue, when you figure that out, that's the moment of your ascension. So this is what you're doing. You're striving to be able to use logic for your own benefit. You need to be able to rub two sticks together in your mind and work your way into how to work out how to solve problems, basically. And they're logic problems you're looking to solve. See, so you develop your logic center in your brain to a high degree by studying things like geometry and mathematics. You don't need highfalutin mathematics. Basic mathematical principles are enough. See, if people ascended in the ancient past, and that's what they had back then, it must have been enough.
Yes.
You see, so there's
Like,
another misnomer that people think you need to be a super modern scientist who's cleverer than Einstein to be able to do this when you don't.
yeah, it's like a collection of tools in a toolbox.
Hmm,
You know,
that's right. It's just about figuring out the nature of spirit and energy. That's all. And then you can figure out how they work together once you understand what they are. See, there's the study. Spirit is called metaphysics. Study metaphysics. It's very simple. It's the physics that is more complicated because it's a multi-varied expression of that simple metaphysics.
yeah, I find it. Uh, as we talked long ago, I tend to lean more towards the logic part, so to speak. The physics is it's a little bit different, and we talked a long time ago about. So yeah, you went and explored the hard science, and I pursued the soft science, so to speak. That would be
Hmm.
the areas of history, political science, psychology, sociology, that type of thing. And I'm not saying, but when I was 20 some years old, that was where I was at, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, and it has helped in some ways. I'm not saying it hasn't. In life itself, also, it's saying, well, this isn't logical. This doesn't make sense. You see, and that's how you kind of tend things. You scrap that and say that's a theory that doesn't jive anymore, so to speak, type of thing.
Hmm.
So this, I wanted to ask another question here, and again, these are from a particular book. If, the other thing I was going to say simply is, if you cannot afford this type of book here, it is actually available online.
Hmm.
Okay, if you have that interest, I can tell you where to get it at. This is simply called a place called WeLib, WeLib. Here in America, I don't know if it works in another country or whatever, um, and you can read it online or you can download the book. Okay, um, and his books are available. I know that this book is available for sure, and Psychology and Kabbalah is also, because I've been reading on the side Psychology and Kabbalah, and it is on that particular site. Okay, and so it's been, someone has allowed it. Now, kind of want to go back to something maybe with Adam Catman, and you've mentioned going back to Sophia. I'm trying to wrap my head around that idea, and is that the perfect man, so to speak?
Adam Kadmon is metaphysics itself with
Okay.
the angel. It's not just, the cloud with the three aspects of God. It's the angel involved with it as well. So the angel represents his heart, and the cloud represents the coldness of his intellect or his mind, because it's an automatic functioning thing.
Right.
See, so that is Adam Kadmon. His head is the cloud, and his heart is the angel, and his expanded body is the abyss, let's say. He is metaphysics, basically. He is the seed of reality.
And one other thing I want to ask before I forget, in a way, is that would you recommend this particular writer to other areas, not just this particular book, not just a book of Psychology and Kabbalah?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't know what else he's written. I only know that one and the Sacred Geometry book, which is written by somebody else. Robert Lawler, I think, wrote the
Right.
yeah, he wrote the Sacred Geometry one, which is very, very similar. You can see how they parallel and cross over with each other, and you can tell natural philosophy by reading both, because it comes out at you when you read both of those back to back.
Yeah, that's
One trick I used was to put together in one place, like a folder, all the major and most important information that I'd found over the years. In other words, that book on Kabbalah you're showing and the Sacred Geometry book would both be part of that compendium, and I'd read through the whole lot in one go in one day. see, and contemplate things that I wasn't too sure of, and try and fill out gaps and spaces and what have you, and just spend time going over that kind of material, the logic of geometry and how it incorporates infinity and zero into its fine structure. So all these things are very beneficial for your logic and your general knowledge, as it were.
Right, right.
It helps you hone in on and focus in on solutions, logic solutions.
So, I'm going to ask some different questions now. So, those who are here, that you see what he's saying. Like I said, you can also, I know you can get the Robert Lawler's book also on We Live also. So it's WELIV.org. You can find these books online. You can also buy them from Amazon, I know for sure. But if you really want to look into this type of thing, what Phil has shared, those books are there. And but if you want a book, fine. But I mean, some people don't have a lot of times money. They may be able just simply to download that book, and they can just read it off the internet, because all of us don't have thousands of dollars, so to speak, to throw. But yet, it's well worth it to have the book. So this particular symbol here, what is it revealing here, Phil? Because it looks like a structure here, something happening. It almost looks as though it looks like a man with two legs and a body, a chest area, and then there's a light apparently in a way inside, I would think, the heart, and then there's a light up here, or maybe the head is to deal with a light also there. But I don't know. That's just figuratively thinking outside.
Yeah, it's a bit like somebody doodling. So what you've got there is Yod He Vav He, which are the 4 letters of the 4-letter name of God that we refer to as Jehovah, who is the cloud. So,
Okay.
so the 4 letters there also refer to the 4 elements, and he is the unification of the 4 elements, and he is the cloud of Adam Kadmon. So really what you've got there is an image referring to the creator, because it's delineated in the form of a human being, and the human is the product of the creator.
Okay. When you said
In
there's
fact,
4,
in a way, that represents a human being as the creator walking around on planet Earth. It's kind of doodling. There's a lot of doodling in Kabbalah, re-representing something in a particular way.
right.
It's a kind of mindset.
Okay.
Yeah, so that says Yod He Vav He, and it's literally read from top to bottom. Yod is the little flamey thing at the top. That's the 10th letter in Hebrew, which means God. Just below that, you see the horizontal bar there of the letter He.
Right.
And below that is a second letter, Hey. So there's a repetition of those 2 letters. And inside the upper one is the Vav, letter Vav. Yeah, Yod He Vav He is Jehovah. So it's a way of referring to the cloud, as if the cloud is God, which means the creator. The creative position, as it were.
And when we go, I talked to you a little bit about this one. We compared this particular symbol here, also in this particular work, with the different colors here, which we could also consider that the fire, water, air, and earth here.
You can, yeah.
It's I think that's too simplified. Is it much more deeper here, this particular aspect?
As we mentioned earlier, that is applicable to the human body. So your head has the entire tree associated with it, and they're all interlocked in this particular diagram to show that everything has everything to do with everything else. Everything in your body is associated with this tree.
Like they fit in slots. It's like it's like an envelope, and then another envelope fits in it, and it goes in, and another envelope comes from the top and does the same thing.
Yeah.
They all work together in tandem in 4.
That's right, and you can, of course, it covers your spine in its entirety, so you can associate that with your spine as well.
Okay,
So the 4 body centers go from the bottom to the top of your spine. They don't include your legs. Your legs
Right.
has nothing to do with your body centers. They're just appendages.
Okay.
Yeah. The lowest body center is the groin
Groin.
at the
Right.
top of the legs. Yeah.
Right.
So legs
And
have
then,
nothing to do with it.
and you also have the area where your tummy is, and you go up further up.
That's the
It
navel
has.
tree. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You can start delineating the human body through the tree of life, depending on which
Yes.
aspects you want to point out. Depends what you want to focus on. Yeah.
The the I'm looking at, and I don't know Hebrew, so forgive me. Um, and I the Banah is a as it means simply understanding in Hebrew.
That's
Um,
right. That's right.
and,
So
and
it's just to show that an aspect of God nature is full awareness, which means understanding. Understanding is part of being aware. You know.
right, and they would say, I don't, I'm just reading this from a Wikipedia article. Banah is associated with the color black, representing the depth, mystery, and and the hidden potential of understanding. Black
Like the
in this context symbolizes the absorption of all colors, reflecting Banal's role in receiving and shaping the pure, undifferential light of Cho- Chokamon, C-H-O-K,
Chokmah.
Hakmon, into structure and comprehensive forms. This association emphasizes Banal function as the womb of creation where raw wisdom is transformed into clear, discernible concepts.
Yeah, like creation from the abyss. The abyss is that blackness. Yeah, with potential.
Right, right, right. Um, I was just from a Wikipedia article, so to speak.
Mm.
Um, I was going to see, and what was the? Well, you said this book last week to me, not last week, 2 weeks ago. Sadaka, is that correct? How you pronounce it?
You mean Sudoku?
Sadaku. I'm sorry.
Sudoku, the Japanese numbers logic
Correct.
game.
Right.
Yeah, very good for your mind. That one, logic gymnastics. It's good for.
Okay. I wanted to share that with others in case they would look
Yeah.
into that. Sadaku is supposed to help you with to being logical in the way you're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, perspective. I was trying to
Yeah.
find something else here. Um, now, I'm going to, with the author here, um, uh, his name is Zeb Ben Shamang. I don't know how to pronounce it, maybe wrong, but anyway. Do you think he ever met God, Phil? Or did he just understand the outside premises of this and never got to the inner perspective?
You never know. You see, unless
I'm
someone actually says so.
okay. Okay.
Unless somebody says so, you're never going to know because anybody can regurgitate this information.
Okay.
So you're
Okay.
never going to know unless he states it categorically and you get them on their own and question them and they're solid. You can tell, but that you'd know they're an angel. They have a certain aura about them as well. You know, there's a certain way about an angel when you become angelic.
Right.
So you don't know on paper because it's so easy to reproduce this material anyway. Once it's been written down, you just regurgitate it.
Right.
So you
Right.
can't tell. Yeah,
No, you can't.
that's the problem.
Right.
Yeah, that's where faith starts coming into it. That you have the faith that this stuff is so logical that you can pursue it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was trying to see. We're being supposedly supposed to be broadcasting to my Facebook page. I don't know if that. I was going to see if there's anybody has questions there, just because of live, and I'm trying to see if I could get it open here so I can see if there are any questions in the audience. but it seems to be wanting to take forever here. I don't know why.
Hmm.
Bear with me here. Because it's trying to open up. So I'm just curious if someone's going to trying to ask a question here.